It was a quiet Monday morning at Westfield Middle School. The hallways buzzed with students returning from the weekend. But inside room 204, everything felt still, like the day was holding its breath. That's when the new girl arrived. Her name was Emily. She rolled into class in a wheelchair, her hands gently pushing the wheels forward. Her long brown hair was tucked behind her ears, and she wore a pale blue sweater that looked too big for her small frame. Her eyes stayed down, focused on the floor, and when the teacher introduced her, she only gave a tiny nod. Maya, who sat near the window, watched closely. Something about Emily felt different, not just because of the wheelchair. She seemed quiet in a way that wasn't shy, but more like she was used to being invisible. She didn't look around the classroom, or smile at anyone. She didn't even flinch when someone whispered about her in the back row. Miss Catter, their homeroom and English teacher, gave a tight smile as she gestured toward an empty desk near the front. "Emily, you can sit here," she said. "Let me know if you need anything." Her voice was sugary sweet, but Maya caught something strange. As soon as Emily turned away, Miss Catter's smile disappeared. Her eyes narrowed, and for a second she looked almost annoyed. Maya blinked. Maybe she imagined it. Emily settled into her spot quietly. When class started, she didn't raise her hand, even when Miss Carter asked questions that Maya was sure she knew. She just sat still, taking notes slowly, carefully. At lunch, Maya passed by her again in the hallway. Emily was alone at a table in the corner of the cafeteria, her lunch untouched. Maya wanted to say something, maybe ask if she wanted to sit together, but the words got stuck in her throat. What if Emily didn't want to be bothered? What if Maya said the wrong thing? The whole school knew someone new had joined their grade, but no one seemed to know where she came from. No one knew her last name, her story, or even why she used a wheelchair. Emily had arrived like a question no one had the answer to. But one thing was clear to Maya: this girl had more going on than anyone could see. At first, most students didn't pay much attention to Emily. She kept to herself, always quiet, always polite, but Maya started to notice the little things. Every morning, Emily arrived early. She had to take the long way into the building, because the main entrance had stairs. Some days the elevator worked, some days it didn't. But Emily never complained. Miss Carter, though, started acting different. It began with small things. She would roll her eyes when Emily asked for extra time on a quiz. Once, during a group activity, Miss Carter accidentally forgot to assign Emily a group. When Emily raised her hand to ask, Miss Carter sighed and said, "Just work alone. It's probably easier that way." The class chuckled nervously. Emily didn't laugh, she just lowered her hand and looked down at her desk. Maya felt her stomach twist. Something about it didn't sit right. Why would a teacher talk like that? Another day, during silent reading time, Emily's water bottle tipped over and spilled across her desk. The water ran down onto the floor and soaked her papers. Before anyone could help, Miss Carter stormed over. "Really?" she snapped. "Can we go one day without a mess?" Emily fumbled with a napkin, her face bright red. "I'm sorry, it was an accident." Miss Carter shook her head. "You always have some kind of problem, don't you? Maybe you should be more careful." Nobody laughed this time. Maya looked around. A few kids looked uncomfortable. Others kept their heads down. No one said a word. At lunch, Maya sat near Emily, not right next to her, but close enough to watch. Emily picked at her sandwich, barely eating. She looked like she wanted to disappear. "Why doesn't she tell someone?" Maya whispered to her friend Rachel. Rachel shrugged. "Maybe she's used to it." That thought stuck with Maya. Used to it? How could anyone get used to being treated like that? A week later, during English class, Miss Carter passed out an assignment. "Group work again," she said. "But Emily, you'll just write a summary on your own." Emily looked up. "But I can work in a group." Miss Carter crossed her arms. "Let's not make this harder than it has to be." The class went silent. That night, Maya couldn't stop thinking about Emily. The way she said nothing, even when it hurt. The way Miss Carter's voice always changed when she spoke to her. Maya didn't understand all of it, but she knew one thing for sure: this wasn't just about forgetting to include someone. It was bullying. And no one was doing anything to stop it. It was a rainy Wednesday when everything finally boiled over. The hallway was crowded that morning, and students rushed to class trying not to slip on the wet floor. Maya walked with Rachel, chatting about the upcoming science fair, when she noticed the empty seat at the front of the classroom. Emily wasn't there. Miss Carter glanced at the clock and sighed loudly. Of course, she muttered. Late again. A few minutes later, the door creaked open, and Emily rolled in, soaked from the rain. Her sleeves were damp, and her hair clung to her cheeks. I'm sorry, she said, her voice shaking. The elevator wasn't working. I had to wait for the custodian to unlock the ramp out back. Miss Carter didn't even try to hide her frustration. You always have some excuse, don't you? Emily looked stunned. I didn't mean. Enough, Miss Carter snapped. Go wait in the hallway. I don't have time for your drama today. The class went silent. Maya could feel the air change, tense, heavy. Emily hesitated, then slowly turned her wheelchair toward the door. Her hands trembled as she pushed the wheels forward. Maya couldn't breathe. When Emily left, Miss Carter kept teaching like nothing had happened, but Maya's ears buzzed. Her eyes kept drifting to the door. Something was wrong, more than usual. During independent work time, Maya got up to sharpen her pencil. As she passed the door, she paused. It was open just a crack. That's when she heard it. From the hallway, Miss Carter's voice floated in, low but angry. Can't keep slowing down the whole class, because of one student. This isn't a special school. She needs to learn the real world doesn't wait for her. Maya froze, her heart thumped so loud, she was sure someone would hear it. She backed away slowly and sat down, barely able to focus on her paper. After class, she packed her things quickly and hurried out. Just past the lockers, she found Emily by the water fountain. Her head was down, her hands folded in her lap, her eyes were red. Maya stood there, unsure what to say. But her feet moved on their own. Emily? She asked softly. Emily looked up, startled. I heard what Miss Carter said. Maya continued. She shouldn't treat you like that. No one should. Emily tried to smile, but it broke halfway. It's okay, I'm used to it. No, it's not okay. Maya said, her voice shook, but she didn't stop. It's not fair, you didn't do anything wrong. Emily's eyes filled again, but this time it was something else: relief. For the first time she didn't feel invisible. Maya sat next to her, even though the floor was cold and wet. You don't have to be alone, she said. And in that small moment, something started to change. Not just for Emily, but for Maya too. The next few days passed slowly. Emily still came to class early, still sat in the front, still didn't speak much. But now, Maya sat beside her every chance she got. They worked on projects together, ate lunch together, walked or rolled through the hallways together. Emily smiled more. Not a lot, but enough that Maya noticed. Still, Miss Carter didn't change. She kept giving Emily extra work, kept skipping over her when calling on students, and kept making those quiet, mean comments that only Maya seemed to hear. But something else was starting to buzz through the school. Rumors: they're getting a new superintendent. Someone whispered at lunch. Like, the boss of all the principals. Why? Another kid asked. No idea, the old one retired, I think. But I heard the new one starts this week. Everyone was curious. Who was this new superintendent? Would they visit classrooms? Would they change school rules? No one had answers. Then on Friday morning, something unusual happened. A black car pulled into the school parking lot. It was shiny and big, the kind of car nobody at school ever drove. The front office staff straightened up and started whispering to each other. The principal, Mr. Thompson, rushed outside with a clipboard and nervous smile. A tall woman stepped out of the car. She wore a dark blue suit, heels, and had her hair pulled back neatly. She looked calm, confident, important. Maya stood at her locker and watched. She didn't think much of it at first. But then, something shocking happened. Emily came down the hallway, wheeling herself toward her next class. As the woman turned, her face lit up. "There you are, sweetheart," she said warmly. Emily's eyes widened. "Mom," gasps rippled through the hallway. Students stopped walking. Teachers peered out of classrooms. Mr. Thompson stammered, "Wait. Emily is your daughter." The woman smiled, placing a gentle hand on Emily's shoulder. "Yes, I'm Dr. Williams. And Emily's the reason I care so deeply about how every student is treated." Maya stared, frozen in place. Emily was the new superintendent's daughter. No one had seen it coming, but suddenly everything made sense, and things at Westfield Middle School were about to change. The news traveled faster than anything ever had at Westfield Middle. By lunchtime, everyone knew the quiet girl in the wheelchair was the daughter of the new superintendent, Emily Williams. And her mom, Dr. Nicole Williams, the most powerful person in the whole district. Some kids whispered about it excitedly. Others looked guilty, especially the ones who had laughed at Miss Carter's mean jokes. Teachers acted extra careful, greeting Emily with bright smiles they'd never shown before. But Miss Carter, she looked like she had seen a ghost. That afternoon, the entire school gathered in the auditorium for an assembly. No one really knew why. It had been called suddenly, just after lunch. Maya sat beside Emily in the second row. Emily looked nervous but calm. Maya gave her a small smile. Up on the stage, the principal stepped forward. "As many of you know," Mr. Thompson said, "we have a new district superintendent. Please welcome Dr. Nicole Williams." The room filled with polite clapping. Dr. Williams stepped up to the microphone. Her voice was steady but warm. "I'm honored to be here," she said. "Not just as a leader in this school system, but as a parent. My daughter Emily is part of your school now, and that makes this personal for me." Heads turned toward Emily, she kept her eyes forward. "I believe that every student, no matter their background, ability or appearance, deserves to be treated with respect," Dr. Williams continued. "And I expect the same from every adult in this building." Miss Carter, sitting in the back row with the other teachers, shifted uncomfortably. "I've already begun reviewing classroom practices," Dr. Williams said. "And I encourage anyone, students or staff, to speak up if they see something that doesn't feel right. Staying silent allows harm to continue. And that's not what we stand for." The silence in the room was thick. Maya could feel her heart beating fast. Then something surprising happened. A hand went up in the crowd. Slowly Maya stood. "I want to say something," she said, her voice small but clear. Mr. Thompson blinked. "Go ahead, Maya." Maya looked at Emily, then back at the crowd. "Carter hasn't been treating Emily fairly," she said. "She says mean things. Leaves her out. Makes her feel like she doesn't belong. We all saw it. Some of us just didn't say anything." A quiet gasp echoed across the room. One by one, other hands rose. A boy in the back admitted to seeing it too. Another girl said she heard what Miss Carter said in the hallway last week. Dr. Williams nodded, not with anger, but with deep understanding. "Thank you," she said. "Your voices matter." Later that day Miss Carter was called to the office. She didn't come back to class. A substitute teacher arrived the next morning. She smiled at Emily, she included her in everything. She treated her like a student, just like everyone else. Justice had finally come. And it had started with one voice willing to speak. The classroom felt lighter after Miss Carter left. The air wasn't so heavy anymore. And students seemed more relaxed. The new substitute, Miss Daniels, was cheerful and patient. She called on Emily during discussions. She gave her the same chances as everyone else, no more no less. For the first time Emily started raising her hand. She even cracked a few jokes during group work, and when she laughed, it was soft and clear. Like wind chimes on a sunny day. Maya couldn't believe it was the same girl who had once stared at her lunch tray in silence. Their friendship grew stronger. They sat together in every class, worked on projects, and waited for each other at their lockers. Maya found herself opening up more too, not just to Emily, but to others. She smiled more. She spoke up when she saw something wrong. The school made real changes, not just promises. New signs were put up for accessibility routes. The elevator was fixed and checked daily. Wider desks were added for students who needed them. Teachers were given special training to learn how to support students with disabilities. One afternoon, the principal visited their classroom. He handed Emily a printed flyer and asked if she'd speak at the next school board meeting about student inclusion. Emily looked shocked. "Me? Yes, you." Maya said with a grin. "You're brave, remember?" Emily smiled nervously. "Only because I have people like you." Later that day, the two of them sat under the big oak tree outside, where students often waited for their rides. The leaves above rustled softly. "Do you ever think," Emily said quietly, "that things would have stayed the same if no one said anything?" Maya nodded slowly. "Yeah. But someone did. You matter, Emily. You always did." Emily looked down at her hands, then back up with a full glowing smile. "You made me feel like I wasn't just the girl in the wheelchair. You made me feel like me." Maya's chest filled with something warm and solid, something like pride. A new beginning had started at Westfield Middle. Not just for Emily, but for everyone learning that kindness, courage and respect are more powerful than silence. And this time no one felt invisible. A month passed, the leaves began to turn orange and gold. Fall was settling in, and so was a new feeling at Westfield Middle. One of change, of growth, of something better. Emily stood at the front of the school board meeting one chilly Thursday evening. Her mom sat nearby, watching proudly. So did Maya and a few of their classmates, sitting in the front row. Emily held the microphone tightly, her fingers trembling just a bit. "I used to be afraid of coming to school," she began. "Not because of the work, but because of how I was treated. I felt small, like I didn't belong. Like I was just my wheelchair." The room was silent. "But someone believed in me," she continued, glancing at Maya. "Someone spoke up, and when they did, everything started to change." She talked about the new ramps, the kind teachers, the way kids began sitting with her at lunch and asking her real questions, not just about her wheelchair, but about her favorite books, her hobbies, her dreams. "I don't want any other kid to feel like I did," she said. "Everyone deserves to be seen." When she finished, the whole room stood and clapped. Maya wiped her eyes. She had never felt prouder. The next day, Emily returned to school like always. But this time the halls didn't feel cold or quiet. Students smiled at her. Teachers nodded hello. Even kids she barely knew gave her high fives. She wasn't just the new girl anymore. She was Emily. Smart, brave, kind, real. As she rolled into room 204 beside Maya, the classroom felt warm and welcoming. The past hadn't been easy, but they had faced it together. And now, a new story was being written, one where no one was left behind, one where every voice mattered.